Yeah, we are like,
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's Socratic Dialogue. Before we begin, please everyone, let's introduce ourselves.
Hi everyone, this is Pratishtha, the coach for Team Crossroads Collective.
Hi everyone, this is Mariada from Team Crossroads Collective.
Hi, this is Joeda. I'm from Team Crossroad Collectives.
Hello everyone, I'm Swapnil from Knowledge Catalyst.
Hello everyone, I'm Vikash from Knowledge Catalysts.
Hello everyone, this is Suhana from Team Knowledge Catalyst.
Good evening, everyone. This side Karthik, and I'll be the moderator of this week's session.
Hello everyone, this is Swayam and I will be the co-moderator of today's session.
So the topic of today's Socratic Dialogue is business education, and we have two teams: Team Road Collective and the Knowledge Catalyst. So, which team would like to share their pitch?
Should I go first?
Yeah, Team Road Collective. So before you share your pitch, explain why you choose this name and a short summary of your pitch, please.
Uh, am I audible? So
Yes,
we
you can
chose
go
the
on.
name Crossroad Collective because, just like a crossroad represents a place where multiple paths meet, in the same way, our modern business thinking develops an idea from different disciplines like science, psychology, or economics, and they come together. So our stance is that education is valuable, not just for learning business facts, but for exposing individuals to diverse way of thinking. So when knowledge from different domains intersect, it always allows people to recognize patterns or transfer ideas across industries and develop innovative strategies. Therefore, Crossroad Collective represents a group of people that believe that strongest business ideas emerge where different ideas or strategies or disciplines meet. Should I share my screen? Uh, so for the first slide, which is business and education, when we think about successful leaders, we often ask whether their success comes from experience or the education they had. But I think in reality, it is rarely just one of them, but a combination of the real world experience with ideas that they learned from different disciplines. Uh, Education matters not because it just teaches us the business rules, but because it exposes us to like uh, different ways of thinking. So, for example, we can take Jeff Bezos. He didn't come from a retail background, but studied computer science and electrical engineering. So that technical thinking helped him to build Amazon, which is not just an online store, but like a massive technology and a logistic system. Moving on to next slide. Uh, so learning across industries, like a lot of innovation actually happens when ideas move from one industry to other industry. So like instead of inventing something completely new, companies often take success concept from one field and then apply it somewhere else. So this cross-linking allows business to solve problems faster and more creatively. For example, Netflix didn't invent the idea of subscriptions. That model was originally from the magazine publishing. So what Netflix did was apply the same idea to digital entertainment, which completely changed how people and we consume content. Uh, Also, like we often think, at least I personally think that a lot, that why do some people notice connections across fields while others can't? So one reason for that is the exposure they have. Some people have to different disciplines. When someone like learns ideas from multiple areas like biology, science, mathematics, psychology. So they build a greater set of mental models, which help them to recognize patterns that might not be obvious at first and might not be obvious to people who are just having the knowledge of a singular discipline. So a good idea could be like Google, where Larry Page and Brin, they applied the graph theory from mathematics to understand like how web pages link to each other, and that helped them to create the rank page algorithm, which made Google search engine like more effective than the others at that time. I would like to hand over to Maryada.
Thank you, Pratishtha. So, when it comes to role of different subjects, first of all, markets and organizations, they are very complex systems. So they can't be understood by a single discipline. So different subjects can provide distinct frameworks that will help explain how actually businesses operate. For instance, psychology can help understand consumer behavior and the decision making patterns, whereas history can provide insight into market cycles and the strategic patterns over time. So, exposure to multiple disciplines expands the mental models of leaders and strengthens their perspective on strategic thinking and long term decision making. Moving on to next slide. So, when it comes to facts and ideas, facts are often temporary, but underlying ideas and principles are what actually remain valuable across all the contexts. Let's say market statistics, technologies, specific data, these points change frequently. But core concepts like incentives, systems thinking, network dynamics, we can continue to apply them across industries and time periods. So understanding ideas allow individuals to transfer that knowledge from one situation to another. That's why education should be focused on concepts development that can promote stronger critical thinking and problem solving abilities rather than just simple memorization. Over to you, Joyita.
Thank you, Marada. So we understand like how important is that to understand the understanding ideas, right? So now once a idea has been discovered, there should be a way to communicate that idea, right? So what is language then? So language is basically a system of communication that human uses to express their ideas, emotion, feelings. So how this system works actually? So human beings observes a kind of phenomena. They create a particular word to represent that particular idea and share it. So if I consider the example of bandwidth, it's basically the word that's used mostly in the engineering domain, which which refers to data transferring, right? So now in recent times, or maybe like in business, what the way we use bandwidth is like to understand uh, or to refer to the mental capacity to handle work. So can we move to the next slide? Yes. So yes, so now we understand that language helps us explain the complex ideas and system, but modern business is way too complex that it has been in the past. And three of the major factors that actually drives this complexity is technology, globalization, and digital platforms. So companies are no longer working in like no longer isolated organizations. So what they do is like they are mostly interconnected networks of product, partner, data, and users. So to navigate complex modern businesses, leaders must understand that it's not just to focus on one domain of education, but you have like business has to understand has to move towards understanding multiple systems to interact. And that is why modern business education must focus on interdisciplinary thinking and real world problem solving. Can we move on to the next slide? Yes. So as modern business operates in complex and integrated system, so it's important to understand and innovate that within the system, education must move beyond memorizing facts and focus on more ideas and mental models and interdisciplinary learning. So if I consider as an example, one of the best of the use case and relatable example is Amazon. So mostly when online shopping started, online shopping was introduced into the market, the biggest challenge for any organization was delivery. So Amazon realized that the key to success in online retail is mostly speed and reliability of delivery. It's not just the only product or the online market store. So what Amazon did is that they built its own logistic infrastructure. So they did not just build an online store. They built an entire integrated network of a logistic ecosystem where uh, which connects mostly its warehouse, its delivery system, its sellers, its customers into a one single integrated network. So this actually shows that innovation often emerges at the intersection of different fields. Thank you, and over to you, moderator.
Thank you, Team Crossroad Collectives. That was a great pitch. Now the question box is open for the Team Knowledge Catalyst. So who would like to go first?
Come on, guys, the question box is open.
Yeah, I had one question. So, as you talked about education and how different schools teach, students what to think. Should students instead of being, let's say, instead of teaching students like how to think, uh, if that is true, what is the other thing that one thing that a teacher tomorrow without changing the syllabus can make happen? Like, let's say, uh, you have a teacher explaining something, right, in terms of business context. Now, how can, if the question is out of the syllabus or it is not in their curriculum, then if the student asks that, should the teacher explain that or just skip it, like in terms of business context?
I think in terms of business context, if there is an education provided, then there will not be anything that is out of syllabus. Any, let's say, a school or even MBA courses, they actually cover everything that could be there in business. They teach everything. So there's nothing out of syllabus. Like we said that there are, if you want to learn about business, you have to learn all the disciplines, whether it's psychology or history, to be able to develop that mental model and framework. So in education also, I think the first business context, it's built that way that you learn every concept.
Did that answer your question, Swapnil?
Yes, it did.
So who would like to go next? Any more questions, guys?
I have one question that why does a businessman need to be educated? Why can't he just hire educated people and start the business, and the educated people will run the business themselves?
Um, so, Joyita, do you want to take this?
Excuse me? I didn't hear
Okay,
you.
so when it like education isn't equivalent to degree. So when we say that a businessman or a woman has to be educated, we mean that they have to have those characteristics to be able to lead the team that is there in the business. Whether that's like in PD Gym's session today, we learned about navigation, ontology. These concepts will help in making sure that you are able to reach your goal and you are able to deliver the direction to your team as well.
Does that satisfy your question, Titus?
Yes.
So who would like to go next? Anybody? Uh, okay, so if we don't have any questions left, then the team can share with their pitch. Go ahead with their pitch.
Good evening, everyone. So, we are the Knowledge Catalyst, and we chose this name because we believe that education is one catalyst that makes other skills more powerful. Uh, let's say in chemistry, we have catalyst, right? That what that does is speeds up a reaction without being used in the actual equation. And that is exactly what education does, to your thinking. It does not replace your talent or experience. It accelerates both and helps you. Now it's not that when we say education, we don't mean like a degree or a certificate. We mean in a habit of learning, reading, questioning, connecting ideas, and and thinking across subjects. That is the distinction that is at very heart of everything we argue today, and why business education matters so much. So, so Dhirubhai Ambani has had no degree, right? Steve Jobs dropped out, but that's a easy conclusion we can make, that education does not matter. But both of these men never stopped learning, and they read, they observed, they questioned everything around them. And that is and what they skipped was the certificate, not the learning part. And that is exactly what education gives you, not the facts to memorize, but a way to think. uh, let's say knowing Panipat's happened in 1526 is a fact, but understanding how Babur won despite of being outnumbered, or that a strategy framework, that's a strategy framework you can implement anywhere. Similarly, like let's say trading in families, right? Shopkeepers will be fine in stock markets and stable markets, I mean. But as soon as, let's say, GeoMart is in your neighborhood, now what happens is that only relationships will not bring you business. Having sharp thinking is what separates one who survives and the ones who don't. Learning across industries. So in in 1956, Toyota engineer Taichi Ono visited in America, right? And he did that to study the car manufacturing, how it works. But what changed Toyota forever was the supermarket, Piggy Wiggy. He noticed that the shelves were only restocked after a client or after a customer has taken an item. No excess, no guessing. Supply matched the exact demand that was there. So he came back and asked the question like, why can't our factories work this way, the same way? That became the question. That question became the Kanban system, and that's the backbone of Toyota's world class, service they have. The supermarket did not change. The the car factory was transformed. Like the idea was the same. The lesson is that solution to our problem may already exist, but in a different industry. We are just have to find it. One question, one is only need to one has to only question whether you are curious enough to find that. Status you can take over.
Thank you, Swapnil. Yeah, so in this slide, we are looking on the hidden patterns which most industry leaders miss. And industry experts often miss obvious solutions because they stop being curious or questioning the established rules. For example, while Detroit's top engineers stuck to old manufacturing models, but Taichi Ono used fresh eyes to transform the car production. The key is to look outside your field, have an open mind, look outside the box. As a student who reads across history, science, and business will always have more problem solving tools than being a specialist. Next slide, please. So in this slide, we will learn about the role of different subjects. Every school subject teaches a vital business skill. History offers strategy frameworks like those used by Shivaji Maharaj, while biology teaches organization design, market niches. Even math helps us understand the power of compounding growth. The real opportunity for students lies in connecting the dots. These unconnecting subjects need to be connected to think more creatively about the world. Next slide, please. In this slide, we will know about the difference between ideas and facts. In a world where facts are instantly searchable on Google, the real value lies in understanding the why behind them. Why that idea worked in real life, why that this person thought of this idea in a specific way, while specific business models like cyber cafes can expire quickly, but the underlying principles such as providing affordable access to needs remains timeless. Education must focus on these lasting principles as they allow students to adapt whenever the situation changes and according to their needs. Over to you, Sohan.
Thank you, Titash. So, talking about the power of language, language shapes the way leaders and teams understand problems. The words and metaphors used in business influence how strategies are formed. For example, if a company describes the market as a battlefield, it focuses on defeating competitors. But if it describes it as an ecosystem, it encourages collaboration, partnership, and innovation. This shows that language can guide how business think and act. Next slide, please. So, talking about complexity of modern business, today's business environment is far more complex because of globalization, rapid technological advancement, and increasing competition. To handle this complexity, leaders cannot rely on experience alone. They must draw knowledge from different fields like economics, psychology, and data analysis to understand market and make better decisions. Next slide, please. To wrap, business thinking is not developed only through experience. Exposure to books, ideas, and different disciplines can ignite creativity and strategic thinking. And that is exactly what Knowledge Catalyst stands for, transforming knowledge into powerful insights that drive smarter business decisions. As the Catalyst, we believe that knowledge is the spark that accelerates business thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Knowledge Catalyst. So the question box is open for the Team Crossroads Collective. So who would like to go first? Yeah, Joyita, please go ahead.
Thank you, Swam. Like there was a point where you mentioned that the solution is already there in the industry. It's just that you have to find it. So how shall we make an approach to that, or how shall we, look make a approach and find our particular or industry that we want to move ahead with.
Yeah, so uh, if the thing is that we have to keep exploring when we talk about different markets and different industries, it's best to reach out to people who are already there in that industry and like working there. As you make more connections, as you connect, let's say in social media, let's say in LinkedIn, you connect with people, right? You talk with them, you get to know what they're working on. Sometimes insights gets through and they talk, let's say they are facing a problem, or let's say they shared something new, and you get the feeling of, oh, that can be implemented here, that can be implemented in my work line. So it's about making connections, talking with more people, and then we'll start forming this kind of knowledge of basically across industries. Yeah.
Does that satisfies your answer, team crossword collector?
Yeah, it does.
So who would like to go next, guys, for the question?
As you said that education acts as a catalyst and gives us a way to how to think. So does it require a formal institution to provide that education? Like, is formal education needed for that, or it could be done by people on its own?
I would like to answer this question. There is no need of formal education to learn in life. You can learn from online courses, you can learn from your experience, your seniors, by just asking question to their experiences. There is no need of a formal certificate course to be called educated.
Does that satisfies your question, Pratishtha?
Yes, yes.
Come on, guys, who's next?
Yeah, I would like to go next. In the pitch, you've mentioned that experts stop seeing patterns because they stop being curious. So, is the problem actually lack of curiosity, or is it that experts sort of don't want to take the risk of those new patterns or the new findings that they are coming across, and they just become overconfident in familiar patterns, or they want to make sure that the patterns they want to keep followed so the system doesn't break.
It is
I would like
actually
to,
the mix of, yes, Suhana, go ahead.
yeah, thank you, Titash. So, talking about this, I think it is, both. People are very preventive here, that they don't want to risk their smooth function of their organization, which has been running since so long. So they are precautious here. They want to observe that pattern and see if it would actually work, and or maybe if it can disturb the function that is already going on in the company. So from their prior experience and knowledge of the world of business, they match that pattern, they see if it could work now and what different it has and how it could benefit and what are the disadvantages. So it takes time, but it is not that people who are experts in the industry now tend to ignore or they are overconfident.
Does that satisfies your question, team crossword collectors?
Yeah.
Okay, so who's next? Who's going next for the question? Any questions, guys?
That's all.
Okay, so then if we don't have any questions, we can conclude today's session. Thank you everyone for participating. But before we wrap up, we would like welcome few of the reflections on today's session. So who would like to share the reflection?
I would like to go first. So from this session, I learned that business mindset can also be developed by learning different subjects, ideas, and real world experiences. When you are able to have that capability to recognize patterns and think critically and communication, because when you're able to communicate well, when you're able to recognize patterns, it is that you have developed a level of thinking. You could take critical decisions in an organization, and that is what is needed for running an organization, or not just a typical degree. So along with education, real world experience and exposure and is also needed.
That was a wonderful reflection, Suhana. Anybody else who wanna go next?
I would like to go next. In this session, I got to learn that my work in deep thought as a business developer associate is not just about business, it's about developing the framework for thinking, because it makes it very clear that starting a business is very easy, but the main power is to identify the gaps, the patterns to sustain the business in long term. Nowadays, anyone can start a business or small business on Instagram, online platforms without like minimal investment, but sustaining it is the difficult part, and only those people get famous and get orders.
Any more
So,
reflections?
yeah, we would like to take few reflections from Meta as the participants, please.
Yeah,
Not one guys, at least a reflection.
what I got to know from this SD Socratic dialogue was like learning should just go beyond just facts, as number, data, and market trends keep changing all over the time. So, like, we should be having ideas such as incentive and system design thinking with the business mapping.